Hi, this is Kevin with Mallard Painting. I was reached out to by a company called InoKraft. They sell paint sprayers on Amazon and also spray tips and equipment. And they asked me to make a video for them in exchange for sending me one of their free paint sprayers. So I agreed. And InoKraft is the best airless paint sprayer that DIYers can afford at the very reasonable cost of $249. I will put a link in the description where you can go check these out on Amazon. And also they've sent me a 311 tip. The machine comes with a 515. That doesn't work for me for the project I'm going to be working on. So they sent me a 311 tip. And I'll link that up in the description as well, so you can check that out. And this video is going to be an unboxing video. I'll give you my first impressions, and then we'll cycle some water through it. But I'm also going to have a part 2 video where I paint a small cabinet and end table dresser. And so I'll leave a link in the description for that video as well. So without further ado, let's unbox this thing. I'll give you my first impressions. We'll get in some water and we'll check this thing out. First thing I noticed when this thing showed up on my doorstep was how small, petite the box was. So I'm excited to pull this thing out of here and kind of see what it looks like. This must be the gun. Quality looking spray gun. Yep, comes with the 515 tip. So, you know, this tip is basically for painting big things like spraying ceilings, walls, and exteriors. This is kind of a bigger orifice tip. A lot of material coming out. Wouldn't be suggested for painting fine finish trim. You'd want something smaller like a 310, 311. Comes with some safety goggles. Safety first. Safety first. Safety first. Overall impressions. This thing is very small, very petite. Get this plastic off here. Very small, very lightweight, very easy to manage. Looks like a little bag of tools. What do we got here? Looks like a pair of wrenches to put your hose on, which is really sweet. You don't get 2 wrenches with a Graco or a Titan. Okay, so let's put this thing together. A pro tip that you may or may not know. If you take a little bit of Vaseline, put some Vaseline on your threads here and here, it'll not only go together better, but it keeps paint from sticking to your threads. So if you end up ever getting a leak here and pulling this off, the Vaseline will keep the paint from drying to your threads, so you can keep your threads nice and clean. Looks like a 16mm wrench here. That came with the unit, which I really like. And again, we have our gun. We have our gun here and the other end of the hose. Again, if you put a little Vaseline on these, keeps the paint from drying on the threads. And tighten these guys up. Make sure it's nice and tight so you don't get any leaks. Next thing I'm going to do is take this tip off and check here. We have our gasket installed. This is a reversible tip here. That way when you're spraying, if you get a chunk clogged in here, you can spin it backwards and blow the chunk out through the back, and then spin it back around and you're back to spraying, rather than take the thing off and poke it out. The gun, first impressions is It's fairly ergonomic. It's got kind of this rubber on here for a good grip. Okay, a couple other features here, you know, a very easy to find on-off switch. Sometimes they got them hiding down here or on the back somewhere. You're racing over to your pump, you can't find it. I like how they got this right on the top. Nice ergonomic handle here. The prime valve, you know, with it up, it's in spray mode. With it down, it's in prime mode. Priming just means there's air bubble in the machine. So what you would do is point this down like that, and it would run the air out of your prime hose, the smaller hose here, and then when it was done spitting the air bubbles out, you would put the spray mode back on, and then you would have all the air out of the machine, and it would be ready to spray down on the sprayer end. So we're gonna actually put this thing in some water, and I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna show you guys how to properly charge this thing with water first before we go ahead and put it in paint. And that way I can get familiar with the unit as well. This is your pressure. So you're gonna have a prime clean mode. See if I can get it to focus. You're gonna have a low spray mode, so lower pressure for kind of doing smaller stuff. And then you're gonna have a high spray mode when you're wanting to put on a lot of material fast. Alrighty, we have this thing put together. I got some water here. It does recommend flushing this thing out because it's packed with some oil so it doesn't corrode or rust. So, and always if you're brand new to the airless paint spray game, then, you know, it's probably a good idea that you practice with water before you stick this thing in paint and make a big mess all over your house, and then your wife or your husband will be really upset at you for getting overspray all over everything. You know, so a good thing to do is, you know, try spraying with some water, you know, spray on the concrete or spray your grass with water, and get used to pulling the trigger, dumping the trigger, and how your machine works properly before, you know, you make a big mess and make a fool of yourself. So first things first, we have two hoses here on this machine. We have this, which I like to call the stinger, and this is where the paint will come up and head towards the hose to spray. And the other thing is what we like to call a prime hose. Now I'm gonna stick the stinger in water here. One thing is this hose is not very trainable, so, you know, you're gonna have to work with that bad boy. Hold it down in there or whatever you gotta do to yeah, just like that. The other thing is this prime valve hose, there isn't any weight to this thing. So if you dump the prime valve hose and you're not holding this thing under pressure will shoot and spray water all over everything, maybe even in your eyes, which would not be good. So make sure you wear your eye protection, and or make sure you are holding this darn thing before you dump all the pressure out, because this hose isn't very heavy. So first things first, I have the pump plugged in. I have it on the lowest pressure possible, and I have this on spray mode. I'm actually going to put it on prime mode because I want to get all the air out of the machine first. I have the pressure all the way down. I'm going to turn this guy on. It's kind of noisy. Actually, it's all the way down, so once I start turning it up, I should start to see some water.
Here it comes. Now I got a steady stream of water. Nice steady stream of water. Now what I like to do after I have a good steady stream of water or paint is turn this off, because what that's going to do is it's going to push the pressure out of this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hook this back to the hose for safety reasons. Like I said, this thing under pressure can make a big mess and or shoot your eye out. So we want to clip this guy back on. All right, now I'm going to go to spray mode like that. And before I turn this thing on, I'm going to pull the trigger so it doesn't build up any pressure, and I'm going to turn this on, and we're going to see water start to come up. There we go. We have a nice steady flow of water. Now when I let go of the trigger, it should build up pressure like so. And this is when you're gonna figure out if you didn't put your hoses on tight enough, because these are all under pressure. So if you didn't tighten these enough, you might start seeing water or whatever leak out of these. But I've tightened everything properly. So we have 0 water coming out, and our pump is fully charged and ready to spray. But since I have water in here, what I'm going to do is cycle this thing for a while, clean out all the packing fluid that was in the line for corrosion, make sure and get this thing nice and clean before I stick it in paint and actually spray with it.